Welcome once more to the Gaming News Canada show presented by Bede Gaming. As always, I'm your host, Steve McAllister. Your humble host gets many pitches from the mostly very good people on the communication side of the gaming industry on a daily basis for their clients to be my guest on this platform. One email last month caused us to raise a Spockian eyebrow as the message led with a gentleman who'd gone from diapers, as in designing nappy bags, to creating a sports betting platform for the next generation of bettors. Of course, we want to know more, so we're very pleased to welcome for the first time the co-founder of Golden Camel, Artie Baxter, and his sidekick and other co-founder of the company, Ryan Magrum. Hey, Artie and Ryan, thanks so much for joining us here on the Gaming News Canada show.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, Artie, I want to start with you. And I was saying off camera, I was doing some research for the show and couldn't find a lot of information on Ryan. I don't know if he's under the witness protection program, but there wasn't a lot on LinkedIn. But we'll get to Ryan in a second. But Artie, your story, at least on LinkedIn, is a bit of a fascinating one. I mean, you're a guy that, like me, he's worn a lot of different hats: luxury real estate advisor, actor, and then I want you at some point to tell me the whole story about co-founding Paperclip and getting into the diaper business. But maybe just start with, and I get Ryan in this as well. Like, what prompted you guys? I think Golden Camel is about four, almost 5 years old now. What prompted you guys to get into the sports betting game?
So it's a big, long question. You want to hear the story on how we came up with the idea?
Yeah. Let's go for it.
All right. So Artie and I were both pretty serious sports bettors, betting everything and anything we could. We took a awesome guys trip to San Francisco for the opening of Levi's Stadium, and the Bears were playing San Francisco. Our buddy had a suite. We went to the game. Artie and I were firing bets with our 5 or 6 different bookies, barely watching the game. Not to mention, we bet on San Francisco, and I think Colin Kaepernick threw 15 ground balls during the game. It was kind of eye-opening for us because it was an epic guys trip, and him and I were not present at all with our friends. So we later went to an amazing dinner. We were both depressed, lost our bets, and kind of had that realization of lack of kind of being present with our friends and experiencing that amazing, what should have been a great day. And so we flew home, and kind of in transit, it was kind of a napkin idea. Like, there's got to be a better way. So instead of having to go back and forth to your betting sites and checking, oh, was that line 42.5? Was it 6.5? And then going back to ESPN or the Score to check the scores. We were like, well, what if one place did all of that for you, and you could see I'm winning, I'm losing, so you're not on your phone the whole time. So that was kind of the napkin idea. This was whatever that is now, 10 years ago, and at the time, sports betting was not legal, and so it was kind of just made us feel better that we had a good idea, but nothing was going to kind of happen with that.
Yeah, just to step in, we were still depressed from losing all of our bets, and we're like, what did we just do? But we thought of the idea kind of by just the distress of betting, and then cut to 6 years later, which is approaching 4 years ago. Ryan called me, and I was sitting in this very seat, and I remember him saying, like, do you remember that idea we had for the sports betting app? And I was like, no. And he's like, remember the idea when we lost all that money? And I was like, oh yeah. I was like, I try to forget about that. And he's like, let's do it. And I was like, how are we going to, neither of us know tech. And even though Ryan doesn't have a LinkedIn that's kind of looks like mine, he's equally and has enough experience in other things that he was successful. So he was like so confident in the sense that he was like, if you believe in it, I'll make it happen. And we were both kind of like, okay, well, where do we start? Do we go to to Google, you know, and we're 46 years old. So we're like, do we go to the yellow pages and try to find like how to start a tech? Like, I think we both Amazon, you know, tech for dummies, and cut to there's definitely been some highs and lows and a humble learning experience, but kind of given our backgrounds, we feel that it's a massive opportunity to do something really, really exciting.
Hey Ryan, that phone call to Artie was how much was that sparked by just the overturning of PASPA and seeing what was going on with legal gaming growing and growing? I think we're in 37 states in the U.S. now, but kind of seeing what was going on in the industry and kind of, you mentioned bookies at the top 10 years ago, but all of a sudden after 2018, you now had this explosion of online sports betting.
Right. Yeah. So I was actually in real estate, and then when I say real estate, I mean I was flipping houses. So I had just moved my family from California to Austin, and I was actually on a lunch date with my wife, and I was taking her to see a couple properties that I wanted to buy, and go back to doing that. And we're sitting at lunch having a cocktail, and she looks at me and she's like, "You don't love this?" And I'm like, "No, but it makes money." And then she's like, "Well, you got to, for the kids, you got to do something you're passionate about." And I looked at her, I go, "You want me to go back to playing poker?" And she starts laughing. She's like, "No, what about that idea that you and Artie had, the app?" And it was like light bulbs, boom, 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 boom. Because at that time, betting had been legal for a few years and it was just expanding. So I went home, called up. We have a bunch of very, very successful tech friends. I called a few of them. Most of them were like, "You're crazy, wanting to get into tech, not knowing anything about it." But then I called my cousin, who was the vice president over at Reddit, and talked to her, kind of asked her, like, what would it take to get something like this going? And that's kind of where we got. Then I called Artie, and I'm like, "Dude, I think we can do this."
I mean, can you maybe talk a little bit about how much the product has evolved, like what what it looked like in the early stages, and where you are today with Golden Camel?
Yeah, I mean, the early stages, we thought we were like inventing the wheel with the aggregator, right? Like at the time, we didn't see many companies doing it, so we thought the aggregator was going to be this aha thing. And in the time it took for us to get kind of to an MVP, there was a handful of companies doing it. But there was a clear difference in the way we were doing it versus the way the other companies were doing it. And we decided really to lean into that. And Artie, you can speak more to that, but uh, we've always had a focus on kind of making it very user friendly and keeping it simple as far as the UX UI is concerned. Um, and that really differentiates us from some of the other aggregators. And we've pivoted and evolved much more. We're not just an aggregator at this point, but that was what we initially set out to build and did build, and now have grown the product.
And Steve, one thing to add there too, like when he says growing the product, you know, it's kind of like when you get a product, you're like, oh wow, this just shows up to my door, right? Or you buy it in the store. But the reality is like all of the spider web of things that need to happen in order for that to get there, right? So for us, you know, when we started learning that we had to pay for data to be like, you know, not scraping, not doing things, and that opened up a whole nother door of like, well, if we're getting this data, we should use it as much as we can. So then we started this, like the scoring engine, and then doing R&D in Ohio, we realized that all of the users love prop bets. And we, you know, given our backgrounds, Ryan and I probably would have argued that straight bets were more, or parlays were more bet than props. But the reality is that we were wrong. So we ended up building a prop scoring engine. And then, you know, as we go along this 4-year path, it's like, we'll be the first to tell you, we're not the smartest guys in the room or the know-it-alls, but we're trying to like learn and be aware of like what the universe is doing. So we're trying to ultimately, we always wanted it to be more efficient. So we want to create this product that makes gambling more efficient, but also is not like Bloomberg, right? Like we don't want it to be so much information in your face, which we both respect Bloomberg, respect it, but that's not what we want to be. We want to sell fun and entertainment, not that you're going to be able to pay your mortgage or buy a Ferrari or, because, you may get lucky one time, but if you're gambling day over day, the reality is you're spending X amount of dollars on watching those games.
Hey, what you guys are telling me, that's not different than other guests we've had on the show with startups, where we had someone on not too long ago that talked about starting out as a B2C company and realize that's where they shouldn't be and end up becoming a B2B business. And I think and I'm part of a company, Gaming News Canada is part of a company that, has evolved 3 or 4 different ways since we launched in 2021 as well. So you kind of learn, but I think the key is, and it sounds like both you guys have some experience with this, is that ability to be nimble and to pivot quickly and taking those learnings. And as you mentioned, Artie, understanding that data could be used in more than one way and kind of maximizing the ROI around the money you're spending on data.
Mm-hmm.
Brian, can you just talk a bit about what the product is now and kind of what, how you're growing your customers and what would be kind of what your customer looks like?
So we have like Artie said, we have the scoring engine, and we do pay for pretty high end data. So our data is on par with ESPN and the score as far as speed's concerned. Then we have the aggregator, and our aggregator is pretty straightforward. Aggregates your bets across the different platforms that you bet with. And then we show winning or losing with red or green within your bet slips. So it's pretty easy to just open your dashboard and say, oh, I'm winning here, I'm losing here. You don't need to sit there and go back and forth, which is what obviously the aggregator is meant to do. But instead of having to kind of like look closely, what's that line? We're telling you red, bad, green, good. And then, like Artie said, we build out the prop bet scoring engine across the different platforms, which makes it the younger generation of sports bettors loves the prop bets. So now when you make prop bets on DraftKings or FanDuel and Caesars or MGM, instead of going back and forth and following that line, how close are you to that 75 yards receiving? You can do that for all your different bets right there on our dashboard. And then we're also planning to incorporate a bigger social umbrella within it, kind of focused really on not just sports, but like the entertainment side of it and betting and the emotion of it, just keeping that kind of as a separate safe place. For a lot of people don't want to post their wins and losses on Instagram where their mother-in-law or boss sees what's happening. But we want to create a place where people can do that within Golden Camel. And, you've got the kind of the guys beating their chests after a big win, and you got the other guys crying in the corner, and you got people all feeling the same thing you're feeling.
I do wonder, guys. It does feel to me a bit, and again, I'm talking as by far and away the old guy here on this episode, and I know there's too many apps on my phone, and I know as someone who's a very casual sports bettor who really started online betting because I was covering the industry all of a sudden and had to learn about this business, and it's difficult when you're getting ready to watch a Toronto Maple Leafs game on a Saturday night, and I'm looking at 4 or 5 different books to try to figure out if I'm going to bet, put a bet on Austin Matthews to score a couple of goals, and seeing what the different lines are across those different books. And it just feels like that one-stop shopping is a real selling feature for what you guys are doing.
Yeah, I think that, and one thing to add is, having, again, like, if you gamble, you lose, right? Like over time, but to like take an advantage, the Maple Leafs minus 130 or minus 125 or minus 128 over time, compounded over time. If you're choosing the right VIG or the smaller VIG in whatever position you're taking, is being smart. So we want, although we're not selling that you can beat the house, we are giving you access to all of that. We also, one thing that we didn't mention is we have an AI predictor, like many of our competitors, that simulates a game 10,000 times, and it gives you all of that info. So if you want to deep dive and go down a rabbit hole, we have it all in our app. It's just not in your face, and it's not what our brand DNA wants to be. We want to be known as like fun. Like, you think Golden Camel, fun, entertainment, exciting, like almost even like a shoulder to cry on whenever when your game loses. So we're thinking of it more of like a brand with utility.
It's interesting. I mean, we're recording this podcast 4 days after the results of the FBI investigation and the NBA players came out around rigged poker games and the mafia and illegal sports betting. And I think sometimes there tends to be a focus on the people who bet a lot of money and professional bettors out there. And I think the gambling industry at large would like the story to be told kind of what you guys are saying, is that there are a lot of people out there who aren't betting thousands of dollars every day and just want to place a couple of bucks on their favorite team. Here in Ontario, you're probably betting on the Buffalo Bills on a Sunday, or the Detroit Lions, or you're betting on the Maple Leafs and Ottawa Senators. And it feels like, there's a big market there, there's a huge market out there of people who on a Sunday, NFL Sunday, just they might want to bet 50 or $100 on a bunch of games.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a huge market for it, and it's actually, you'd be shocked. There's a ton of people out there that they just put $10 on maybe a crazy parlay, and then $10 on maybe one prop bet that they really like, and then they just ride that out and enjoy 2 or 3 football games tracking their bets.
Well, I'm thinking that you guys, even though you both had experience as bettors, that there probably has been a ton to learn. You mentioned Nate Artie a few minutes ago about data and finding out about data rights and that, and the tech side, and also learning about the regulatory side of gambling. Like, what are some of the big lessons that you two have learned along the way?
Ryan, if you could, Ryan took lead on one thing he's about to talk about, I assume, but with Apple, I'll let him he unfortunately was on the cross on that one for 8 months. So I'll let him talk through his emotions on that one.
Yeah, well, I mean, so when we created the app, you don't make bets on our platform. It's all made off platform. But when we tried to get onto the App Store, Artie kind of told you the story, or he touched on the story of us doing R&D in Ohio. We actually were going to Ohio planning to launch the app. So we had a 40-foot RV wrapped with our logo, and the whole plan was every Saturday we go into Columbus, do the Saturday fun there, and then we either go north to Cleveland or south to Cincinnati for the NFL game, and kind of just get the brand and get the app out there. Well, we got to Ohio, and Apple rejected us and said we were a sports betting app. So we thought week after week that this was going to be cleared up, because we were clearly not a sports betting app. We got lawyers involved, and they had worked with some other companies who had dealt with the same thing with Apple, and they kind of confirmed what we already knew, that we're not a sports betting app. But Apple, as the gatekeeper, would not let us through. So that started what was, I don't know, it was almost 6 months, right, Artie? 6 to 8 months that we battled with Apple.
I think it was 8 months.
Yeah, 8 months we battled with Apple to finally get on the App Store, which was pretty painful. We kind of spun it and made it really a learning time for us, and used the time in Ohio to get people on test flight and using the app and kind of learning what user behaviors were and what they liked and didn't like. So we turned it into a win for us, but it was a very difficult time getting over that hump.
Has that been the most stressful part about getting the business up and running?
Yeah, I mean, I would say yes, because there was, I remember a call with Artie, like, where he said, well, what if we can't get on the App Store? And in my head, that was something I couldn't even consider at the point, and the money we'd spent and the time we put into it. So it was pretty stressful. I mean, it was hard.
Hey, where'd the Golden Camel brand come from, guys?
This is a fun story. Artie, you want to?
Yeah, I'll kind of start. So Ryan and I are just kind of like naturally optimists, and kind of back to the last thing, like maybe we're just too naive to understand Apple. And at one point I was like, well, what if this doesn't work? Right. So that's just kind of our personality, like glass half full, let's go. So we went to a golf trip. Butch Harmon, one of the best golf coaches in the world, Caesar's Palace, and at the time, Ryan and I were probably betting a little bit more than we should. And we both made a pact to not bring any money to Vegas and focus on golf, because we thought that we were somewhat athletic and we could become scratch golfers overnight, which still hasn't happened. So cut to, we were betting. We told each other that we weren't bringing any cash, and then magically we both had cash, and we were betting, and we kept saying like we just got to Vegas, don't chase, like don't try to max bet, don't try to get, and we kept saying that subconsciously to each other. Well, we had this one dealer that was like the dealer from National Lampoon's Chevy's Chase that was like, you again. And he came up to us and he was like, after we probably lost 8 hands in a row, him just coming to the shoe, and he was like, let me guess, you guys just got to Vegas, you valeted your camels, you valeted your camels outside, and he like went on this thing, and we looked at each other and we're like, wow, that guy really just laid into us. So then cut to 5 years later, we did our other partner, Ben, who's not on the call, who has taught us like the language of tech, et cetera. He has a robust background in it. And we did a 60-page, like 6-hour branding exercise together, but individually. And we kept coming to camel. Like camel was a word that we kept saying. And we didn't want to be like, and nothing against some of our competitors that are very sports specific names. We wanted to be like Uber or, these different Twitter, like things that you're like, wait, what? And we landed on camel, and camels can be rich. They can be poor. They can be regal. They could be, dirty, funny, mean, so we really wanted to do something like different where people go, wait, what is that? And, that's how we landed on it. And we've had humbly a really good response to it.
Ready to accelerate your digital growth? Bede Gaming delivers a market-leading platform with best-in-class products driven by secure, cutting-edge technology. With an open API platform, robust integration suite, and unlimited configurability, you can achieve the ultimate end-to-end customization for your iGaming ambitions. Bede Gaming is your partner for success. Get in touch at bedegaming.com. How are things going in terms of getting customers? Like what's the marketing strategy and how's business going so far?
Go ahead, Ryan.
We everything has been pretty organic up until this football season. We got a really good marketing team in Hot Paper Lantern on board with us, and so we've started with like App Store optimization, which is basically advertising within Apple, and we've had really good success and conversion there. And we're just now moving into some social, Meta, TikTok advertising, and we just opened our office here in Tempe, where we're going to do like guerrilla advertising. And our office is what we can talk more about that, but it's a fun, cool place where you can do some work, but it's more of a content hub. Artie and I are shooting a podcast that we just started doing we started end of basketball season last year, Artie?
Yeah.
Took a break over the summer and kicked it back off for football. but really a place for not just us to create content, but other people who want to come in under kind of our umbrella and create their own identities and personalities within the Golden Camel space.
And do you guys find too? I think Artie, I think I saw a post from you that, or one of you, that you'd been to the Fantasy Sports and Gaming Association conference back in the summer. You find you're starting to get out to some of these conferences as well and kind of learn more about the industry and also meet people.
Yeah, we through our the company that we hired to build us, it's really build our app. It's really opened up a bunch of doors to us. And again, like learning, pivoting, taking things that people from the industry. I mean, Ryan and I have been in conversations with people that are successful in this business, and we walk away and we go, oh, we should like things that they've said we've taken and gone left or gone right, and it's been super valuable. You know, we spoke at one of the conferences, and the moderator was the founder of Hot Paper Lantern, and that allowed us to connect, and we had friendships that they represented before with other companies, and it just feels like we're getting what we're putting out there and being open, and being like, it's been very valuable attending some of these things and just having an open mind and seeing it. We have a very distinct perspective on gaming and how we're going to approach it, but learning from people that are in the industry, getting into that, like it's a smaller group than you would think for such a big category. So it's been really valuable for us.
Yeah, no, that's been my experience too, guys. I mean, it doesn't matter. I've been to conferences in Vegas, New York, London, Toronto, and you tend to see the same people there. So it is a pretty small world, even though legal gambling is a global industry. And I think this show we allow people like yourselves to give some advice to entrepreneurs and other people out there, and one of them would be to do that networking, get out to those conferences, because they certainly can make a difference to your business. Hey, Artie, just because I led with the top of the podcast, I do have to get the story about paperclip and what prompts a guy like yourself to start an eco-conscious diaper bag company. And then I'm thinking that there are some lessons you learned from creating and operating paperclip that you've been able to bring to the business that you and Ryan are running now with Golden Camel.
Yeah, I kind of have a unique background that I moved to LA to act, and I mean I could talk for hours about some of the close encounters I had with my life changing and different things, and where I went from a profession. And ultimately with paperclip, it was a friend that was in entertainment that had an idea and came to me, and I kind of just organically became the quarterback of it, having no idea how to run a company. I was at that nature. Again, I think I told you before, it's like a product just shows up your door. It's like, how does it get there? And so the lessons there from digital marketing, from brand awareness, from all these different things are what has kind of given me confidence in being able to help support Ryan and I's thoughts and our other partner Ben's thoughts on how to build a brand and how to do things. And just, I didn't go to school for that, but it's definitely some of the core values and the business acumen that I learned on the ground from that is we've definitely been able to apply to this.
Hey, go ahead, Ryan.
I just want to add one thing there for Artie too. They started this brand, and he had to navigate some pretty intense things with in Trump's first term, the tariffs with China. He had to move manufacturing. Then COVID happens, and he's had to navigate all that with, like he said, not like being very fresh in the industry. So he's gone over quite some massive hurdles to keep that thing going.
And then in terms of staffing, are you like, do you have people working out of your office in Tempe, or is there a lot of third party contracting? How's that working?
Yeah, we have a lot of third party contracting with development stuff, but then in office we have like promo teams is kind of what we're calling them. So not necessarily employees, but uh, teams of people that are involved. And like we are a startup, and who knows where these relationships and potential jobs go for some of them.
Hey, do you see kind of the shift? I think Artie, you mentioned prop bets a few minutes ago, and we know right now there's a lot of buzz in the industry in North America around are there too many prop bets? And I think it goes to what you guys said earlier. I think, in a perfect world, prop bets are something you have fun with, right? You almost go back to the Super Bowl and what color the Gatorade's going to be that gets poured on the coach's head, and how long's the national anthem going to take to play, and what's going to be Rihanna's first song in the halftime show. And we've gone down this other road where now you can basically bet on every play in an NFL game, whether it's going to be a pass or a running play, and I think that's where everybody involved in legal gambling, the leagues, the athletes, the operators, the people who oversee the data, that's going down a bit of a dangerous rabbit hole. I guess, do you guys see any changes in patterns with bettors, and do you see with the customers that you have, are they all in on prop betting, or do you think there's opportunities to evolve the kind of bets that your customers will want to make?
So I have a very distinct POV on this, and I could be wrong, but there's a reason why you open your phone and there's pre-tailored prop bets. It's because the house wants you to bet those. Right. So the probability is, I could put $2 to win $100,000, but the reality is you're not hitting those. So I think it's something that is pretty dangerous. And then look what just happened 4 days ago. Whether if there's reality to that or not. Ryan and I have a pretty big perspective on trying to move that type of money and how that works. And there's a lot of things that are kind of left out of that public announcement. But, for us, we saw it. And that's why we built the prop scoring engine, is because we were like, wait, what? Like these people really love these things this much. So we were aware of it. And, I thought it was fun, like the Super Bowl, betting on the Gatorade, betting on these things, but every day it just, the more you gamble, the less your percentage is of being able to beat the house. And they're just giving them more opportunities to feed that quick fix.
I just wonder if you guys see your business as an opportunity to kind of educate bettors and to use Golden Camel to educate and steer your bettors towards making betting fun, and not, as you said already, not trying to find that parlay that's gonna, magically turn a $2 bet into a windfall.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of our content pillars for Golden Camel is like better education, educating people on why they want to have multiple betting accounts, how to responsibly gamble, and try to keep it fun. We want to sell the entertainment side of it. We don't want people going into debt and having that ruins the industry, right? And is the reason that some states are hesitant to legalize. And then, back to your other question about the prop bet stuff. I think they definitely need to keep most of that stuff out of the college sports. I think there's just too much, or it's too easy for some of those young people to be influenced to do stupid things. But I think that the prop bets, they might need to be careful how aggressive they are as they move forward with them. But like Artie said, they're seeing the ROI on it, and the sports books love the prop bets.
Yes, it's an easy win for the sports books, right? Hey, just a couple more questions, guys. I just wonder, are you the kinds of partnerships that you're chasing right now? Like what are some of the companies or what are some of the sectors of the gambling industry where you like or you need to have partnerships with?
Ryan, I'll take it. So we feel that there's a massive opportunity for us with the platforms. We want to kind of be the glue or the bridge between the platforms and the consumer. So one thing that we kind of self-proclaim and pitch is that we're like the Apple TV of sports betting. So those partnerships with the betting platforms, even though you don't bet through them, but driving traffic to them with different agreements is really beneficial to us. And then also just kind of aligning ourselves around like the different gaming communities. And what I mean like that is like the Buffalo Bills fans, very distinct fans, like the university, like an Alabama football stadium, the beauty about our business is that there's sports and there's culture unique to every city. So we want to be involved in aligning ourselves with third parties that are connected to that. And again, is like selling fun and entertainment. When you say Golden Camel, we would love people to have a smile and get excited.
Hey Ryan, last question for you. You mentioned the lunch you had with your wife earlier. I wonder, is this have you found that passion that your wife thought was missing when you were flipping homes?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love what I do every single day. So it's exactly what I haven't been this happy. I don't know if ever. It is hard. There's definitely times where you get like in the mud a little bit, but it's something that I'm excited about and I dream about, and I wake up excited every morning to solve problems and keep moving forward.
Yeah, and I think Artie, people don't realize. I mean, even though sports betting's been around a long time, I mean, with past was just 2018. I mean, we're still really in the early days of how sports betting is going to evolve, right?
100%. I mean, just think if like you could get into alcohol in the early days. I mean, it's not even legal in every state, and I mean, we could probably go on for another 2 hours about prediction markets and like where is that going. And so Ryan and I are just trying to educate ourselves, be aware of the universe, be aware of the opportunities, and make a name for us in Golden Camel.
Well, listen, guys, really appreciate you taking the time, and I think becoming a scratch golfer. I mean, the three of us, I can place a pretty, I can place a pretty safe bet that's not going to happen. But Artie Baxter and Ryan Magrum, the co-founders of Golden Camel, I wish you really best luck with the business, and let's get you back on maybe around the Super Bowl, and we can have a catch-up conversation then.
That'd be awesome, Steve. It was great talking to you.
We would love that. Thank you, Steve.
Great. Hey, that's it for this episode of the Gaming News Canada show presented by Bede Gaming. As always, you can find us on all the podcast apps, also on Substack, and you can watch Artie, Ryan, and myself on the Gaming News Canada YouTube channel. Thanks again to both of them for joining us today, and we will see everybody again very, very soon.